Hi everyone, this podcast is on writing a report. This is one of the formats that you may have to write for your writing exam. So a report is a formal document that gives information or advice. It's quite important, the word formal, because this is really, apart from the formal letter, this is the only thing you'll have to write in the exam that is a formal document. So that means sort of an important, or even you could say like a posh way of writing a document. It's also probably the only document you're going to write in the exam, apart from the letter, that is not going to be written to your peers. So meaning it's not going to be written to someone your own age. Normally you're going to write a report to somebody who's in control of something. So for example, a principal or a manager of something. So that word formal, we need to sort of work out how we can write formally. So you need to be polite in your tone. You should be written without any colloquial or chatty language. You should always use correct punctuation, and that's the same with any writing we're going to do in the exam. You should try to use ambitious vocab. You should use connectives, therefore, consequently. However, again, you should do this for all your writing in your exams. You shouldn't use slang phrases. And you should address the person in full. So if you're writing a report for a person, you would say Mr. Smith as opposed to John or David or whatever. So in your report, you should include a clear heading, subheadings, a clear intro, an explanation of the problems, issues raised, and you're going to conclude with solutions and recommendation. Don't overuse statistics, don't write too informally, and don't have too many subheadings or bullet points. But try to remember, as I said, to use linking words. Clear subheadings will help, and detailed paragraphs. Sometimes from the mocks, we have one or two sentences in the paragraphs where they're not very detailed, not very full. Try to write detailed paragraphs and get a bit more information in each one. So again, we're using DeForest. Like we said, in every writing technique, we're going to try to use DeForest. However, the report is probably the one where you're going to write the least amount of DeForest techniques. So here is DeForest if you've forgotten what DeForest looks like. But with the report, we're not going to use alliteration. We're not going to use emotive language because it doesn't really fit. It's not appropriate. But the ones we definitely probably would use are facts, which are true statements, and statistics, which is evidence, percentages, and things like that. We definitely should be making up statistics to use for our report. Remember, as a report is a document where you've been given a task by someone to write your opinion on how things can be made better, or the current state of how things are. So I want you to pause the video and go down this list and just give me the ones that you think are true. So pause the video now. Okay, so we'll go through the ones that are true. So conclusions to summarise your findings and recommendation. Yes, at the end of a report we want to say how can we change things for the better. You don't need to set your report out like a letter. You're not trying to entertain the reader, but you should use subheadings to make each section clear in your report. You shouldn't use informal language. You shouldn't, especially in your exam, use pictures in your report, but you should include a brief intro outlining why you're writing a report. But try not to use the sentence, I am writing this report because. Use as many complicated words as possible. Obviously, we want to use ambitious, but we don't want to cram them in. A report needs to have a clear title, definitely. Your report should be between 1.5 to 2 pages in length. Yes, depending on how big your writing is, we're looking for 1.5 pages to 2 pages. And you should include at least your name and date on the report. So here's a typical question that you might get in the exam, and the one that we're looking at. Your college is looking for ways to improve. Your principal has asked you to write a report suggesting how the college could be improved. You may wish to organise your writing under the following headings: problems, solutions. Write your report for the principal. So in any other question, and including the writing and the reading exams, if it says you may wish to organise your writing under the headings, make sure you do that. They're saying you could do it, but you should definitely do it for your exam. So here is a structure report that we used in my lessons. We will go through this in detail. This will also be on the website bpc.wordpress.com. A lot of the videos and a lot of the resources are going to be on there. So if you look at this, it's clearly structured, and we're going to go through the structure in the rest of the video. So we said earlier on that we need a clear title for our report, and the easiest way of doing that is just to reword our exam question. So remember, the exam question is your college is looking for ways to improve. Your principal has asked you to write a report suggesting how the college could be improved. So I would just reword that very simply into how to improve my college. So it's not fantastic. We've not used alliteration because we don't have to use alliteration. This is just a factual report. So we're just going to do what it says on the tin. So you could have had other things like college report on improvements or college improvements, but I've gone to how to improve my college. Really simple, and I've just reworded the exam question. Going to the introduction, again, we can reword the exam title. So again, the title is your college is looking for ways to improve. Your principal has asked you to write a report suggesting how the college could be improved. So the purpose of this report is to find out how my college can be improved. I have been asked to complete this report by my principal. I have completed research and asked students and staff a number of questions. These results will be analysed in this document. So the first two sentences, the purpose of this report is to find out how the college can be improved, and I've been asked to complete this report by my principal. Again, I've just reworded the exam title and I've given myself a couple of sentences outlining what I'm going to do. And then the last couple of sentences, remember in the report, you've got to do research. The idea is that you're going to ask your college students and staff, you're going to do surveys and questionnaires, trying to work out what their opinion is, how can you improve the college. So I've just outlined that I'm also going to do research, and at the end of the research I'm going to come up with a result. So then I asked my students in my class, well, we have to come up with 3 college improvements. So I asked them to try to come up with 3 improvements they would make for the college. The main ones we came up with, there wasn't a huge amount of different courses. The food in the college they weren't particularly happy with. Parking in the college they weren't particularly happy with. And we also thought that we could improve on the student union. So I'm just going to focus on the food part. So I've got myself a little subheading. So remember at the start I said I should use subheadings, problems within the college, and I'm also going to put a subheading for food. And I'm basically going to outline what my questionnaire, what have my researchers come from. One huge concern that came from the students at Lansdowne was the catering services. 86% of students stated that the food was unsatisfactory. The results also showed there was limited vegetarian options, whilst the food was sometimes served cold. Although the majority of students were happy with the customer service and the staff, 26% believe they needed more people on the counter. Right, so all of this is totally made up. I've not done a survey. 86% of people didn't say anything and 26% of people didn't say anything. I've made it up. But what I've also done is I've not just come up with one reason why people didn't like the food. I've come up with a few different reasons. So I've said the food wasn't that great, there was no veggie options, it was sometimes cold, and the customer service. It's only 4 sentences, but I've come up with a few things that for my report. I've also tried to use statistics to make it more believable. I've also used words like although to try to up my spelling punctuation part of my report. Okay, so then I would also do problems about the courses or problems about parking before I move on to my next section, but I'm just showing you one for this video. Okay, so the solutions. Now the solution is basically how am I going to solve this problem? I've been asked by the principal to do this report, so what do I think the college should do to improve their food? So basically you should write a few sentences each trying to solve the problem. So basically write a sentence on the temperature of the food, write a sentence on the customer service, almost solving each of the problems that I've just lined out in this section here. So again, this is where you're going to give your opinion on how the college should change. So I said in this section I'm going to give my recommendation for each problem. So I'm just doing a little intro into my solutions. Firstly, the catering service within the college has to change as the huge majority are unhappy. The canteen has to take on at least 1 employee who should be on the counter at all times. In addition, 3 more vegetarian options should be brought in, whilst the food must be served at a certain temperature. This would greatly improve the catering services within the college. So I basically solved every problem that I put out in my problems. The fact that there was no veggie options, I've said now at least 3 should be brought in. The fact that I said they were cold, I've now said they should be served at a certain temperature. The fact I said there wasn't enough staff and they recommended that at least one more employee should be on the till at all times. And I've also done a little conclusion at the end to say if you do this, it will definitely help the college. I've also used connectives like firstly to up the level of my spelling, punctuation and grammar mark. So after I've done my problems and my solutions for each of my 3 things, I'm going to do my conclusion, and here I'm just summing up my report and maybe just saying my main findings. So I've just said, in conclusion, I've given my recommendation on how to improve the college. If these findings are acted on, I believe the college will increase its performance. So I basically said, if you act on my recommendations of how to solve the problems at the college, it will greatly improve the college. So I've answered the question of the report, how does the college improve? And here's the structure with this time filled in. So here at the top I've got my title of how to improve my college, my simple title. Then I've got the intro where I'm just outlining my report and talking about research. And remember in the exam question it said I want 2 bullet points as headings. It says I need problems with the college, I've got that, and it also says I need solutions, I've got that. So I've answered the question, I've used the bullet points, I've set out the question like the exam board want me to set it out. And then I've got problems within the college, and I've got my food, my courses and parking. Obviously during the exam I would fill in the courses and the parking part like the food, and then in the solutions I've set out what they should do about the food. Also in the exam I would tell them what my solutions are for the courses or the parking. For example, they should have at least 25 student parking spaces in the certain part of the college. And in the conclusion just at the end I've just done a few sentences outlining that if they do what I want, then the college should be improved. So here's a full example. This is a C grade example, so feel free to pause. This is actually on a different question. This is about improving science rooms. But again, it's got headings, it's written pretty formally. The parts in yellow, if you actually want to read through and pause, these are parts that maybe have stopped it from getting a better grade where perhaps it's too informal. So feel free if you want to have a read of that. And here is an A grade response to a report. Again, it's on the same question as the how to make science rooms better. If you read it through, it's very formal and it uses subheadings. So instead of saying the equipment is not very good, it uses words like the equipment is simply appalling. Instead of saying the classrooms are not very nice, it uses words like unsafe. So it's very good, very structured, and of course the spelling, punctuation is really good. So feel free if you want to read through an A grade report. So that's it on the report video podcast. Any questions, question in the YouTube comment section. If you get a report, hopefully you're a bit more confident after watching this video. Good luck for your exams, and thanks for watching.